Monday, August 28th, and this is Geeknights. Tonight we talk about the miraculous Bit Torrent. Let's do this.
Well, independently of one another, all three of us went out of town last weekend.
Yep.
I went to Albany to help our friends Kate and Adam move into their new townhouse.
I would have done that if I didn't go home to my parents' house.
Yep, and Alex also went out to his parents' house.
Holy crap.
It was a lot of heavy lifting on my part, and it took until about 2 in the morning.
I did a lot of heavy lifting at IKEA, but I forgot an important piece to my bookshelf because...
Oh, you mean the piece that the instructions say you have to buy? The piece that is pictured in everything that you purchased? The piece that was obviously necessary?
Yeah, well, I didn't know how to shop at IKEA, so what do you want from me?
Could have asked someone.
I did. They weren't very helpful.
What did you ask them?
I asked them where little metal bits were that held the shelves on. I didn't realize.
And he answered, didn't he? He told you where to buy the wall mounts.
Yeah, no.
You didn't ask him where the cross braces were.
I didn't know I needed a cross brace.
Nor did you ask him if you had everything you needed.
No.
So the blame falls squarely on Scott Lloyd Rubin.
Also making IKEA not the easiest place to shop at.
I thought it was perfectly easy. You look in the instructions, and it says, pretty much, if you bake this kind of shelf, you need a cross brace. And then in the picture of the shelf you're making, it shows the cross brace.
I didn't really read the directions so well.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Outstanding.
That's that.
Good game, Scott. But to not bore you with all the details of our mostly unexciting weekends, other than the fact that we just got a new board game that we've been playing a lot, and it's a lot of fun, but we're not sure if we like it or not yet.
Well, I think I like it in terms of it's fun to play. The question is, how long will it be fun to play and the strategy? But that's for a Tuesday.
It is. Though I will note that I just creamed. In fact, between me, Alex, and Scott only got 3 points in the entire game.
Well, I won the first time we played. The second time we played, I had a good showing. The latest time we played, I got hosed.
See, in the 3 times we played,
hosed.
I was in dead last by a lot. I was in the middle of the road, pretty much right in the middle, and then I won by a lot.
So my performance was inversely proportional to yours.
Yeah, pretty much. And then Alex just did really well, generally.
Yeah, I think so. All right.
Anyway, in the news, this is a little bit old, but it's something that really bothered me. I mean, everyone who knows me in the real world, or in meat space, knows that there are certain issues that even if I don't say anything, or if I just let it go by, you know there's that glimmer of, if I felt like it, there would be a torrent of me talking about the topic ad nauseum.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a bit of frustration. Usually these things are pseudoscientific things.
We just can't stop yelling about those.
I mean, someone says the word chiropractic, and I just think, and it really takes effort to not say anything.
Mm.
And another one of those issues is eco-terrorism. Now, not the fact that it exists or when people talk about it, but when it affects the world or when it happens. And recently, the world has lost a great scientist due to eco-terrorism.
What, did they kill him?
Well, basically, Dario Renac, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he is a well-respected neuroscientist from UCLA. And from what I read on Slashdot and articles about him, I don't remember exactly what he did, and I don't feel like doing any fact-checking tonight. But I read that he has done all sorts of fantastic things, and he has put forth a lot of somewhat significant advancements in the various fields surrounding neuroscience.
Ooh, neuroscience.
Yeah, I can't go into more detail than that because I don't know.
I don't know anything about neuroscience either.
See, I looked it up at work, but then I got distracted by, work, and then I never bothered to finish looking it up.
Awesome.
But anyway, he and his family had been harassed for much of his career by eco-terrorists and...
Why would they be harassing a neuroscientist?
Well, because he's a neuroscientist who, among other things, occasionally experimented on monkeys.
Well, you need to. You gonna test on human brains?
See, I'm not gonna worry about the issues of, why eco-terrorists do what they do or why people care, other than the fact that to all the people out there who are staunchly against animal testing in any form, I'll note that animal testing has come a long way, and it's really not as bad as groups like PETA really want to portray it as.
And I say, no matter how bad it is, one person greater than animal.
See, I disagree. I've met a lot of people where I would put a puppy's life ahead of them.
No.
They were pretty bad people or pretty annoying people.
You would have to maybe...
All right. Here's a question for you. Who would you rather have living in our house right now? A puppy that was quiet and well behaved that I had trained, didn't even poop in the house, did everything outside, or he who shall not be named, he who lived with Pete?
It would be more interesting to have he who shall not be named, because unlike some other people who would allow their lives to be ruined by he who shall not be named, I would ruin the life of he who shall not be named.
I don't think you could.
And achieve great entertainment from it.
That's like saying, I'm going to hurt that masochist. I'm going to hurt him real bad.
That's right. That's what I'm going to do.
All right, how about a nice, well-behaved, clean puppy? Or an amalgam of Stinky Rob's body, Dwayne's brain pre-giving up marijuana, and Hitler's mustache?
Hey, Hitler's mustache. Interesting. That would definitely... it would be more interesting.
Well, anyway, in regards to this
the
news,
puppy would be nothing.
I mean, I am against, there is some gratuitous animal research out there. Luckily, that is diminished over the years. In a lot of places, like cosmetics, a lot of cosmetics aren't tested anymore because they're using really well-known chemicals that have been tested in the past, and there's really no reason to test these things further. So if someone was still testing, like, I'm going to keep injecting this deodorant into these cat's eyes for 100 years, that's just stupid. Or a guy who's like, I'm going to boil a monkey just to see what happens. That's not cool. I mean, what's the point? Other than, I'm sure Penn would have a lot to say about that, and I'm sure he would laugh hysterically. I don't think that it is worth either the monkey's pain or the possible entertainment Penn would get.
Yeah, like... I'll agree that, okay, if I have a choice between saving a person and saving a monkey, I'm probably going to say it's time for the monkey to go. But if you're just going to kill a monkey for no reason, I'm going to say, what the hell? Don't kill that monkey for no reason. We might be able to use that monkey's life to save a human life.
Or possibly, in the future, another monkey's life. I mean, there are cats that get insulin shots because they have diabetes.
Wow.
Yeah, so animal testing also helps animals, to all you dirty hippies out there.
Do the cats hurt when they pee?
I take it out of my wife and dog.
How's the cat take it out of the dog? That's interesting.
All right. You know what? I've noticed we
I'm
tend
a cat with diabetes.
Wow, we're losing it today.
Okay,
it's over.
It's a cat with diabetes.
It's diabetes. I tell you now out there seriously that we don't find diabetes funny.
Yeah, my grandpa had diabetes.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. But a cat with diabetes is hilarious.
Anyway, the thing is, I trust the scientific community and the people who do this research because I know people personally who do research like this or who facilitate this research, that the scientists do it because they feel that what they are doing will benefit the world or benefit mankind. And they put a lot of thought into it, and there are a lot of ethics involved, and a lot of scientists will refuse to do research that is just obviously stupid or harmful without any reasonable benefit or gratuitous or whatever.
Yeah, it's not like back in the day when you had like crazy Russian and Nazi scientists who would just do whatever the hell they wanted, do mad science. It doesn't happen anymore. Scientists actually know what they're doing, and they won't do bad things. I mean, someone who's sitting around going, I need to cure AIDS, trying to figure out how to cure AIDS, is going to be like, let me totally mutilate some monkeys.
I'll boil a monkey, see if that kills the AIDS.
Yeah, they're not doing that shit because they're smart.
Now, despite this man, who apparently had tested on monkeys, was a well-respected, well-known neuroscientist who'd contributed volumes of work and data and experience and knowledge to the scientific community and had advanced mankind. He had been harassed, and his family had been harassed for years by various activists. And just recently, he decided that he's going to retire. He's given in to these effectively terrorist demands for fear, not so much for fear of his life, and not even so much for fear of his family's life, but for fear for the lives of people around him. Because just recently, these eco-terrorists tried to firebomb something. It was either his house or a facility he worked at. And they accidentally left one of their Molotov cocktails on just like a neighbor's porch. And he said he's had enough. He's not going to risk people's lives for his research, and he's given up. The world has lost a scientist because of what are effectively terrorists.
Okay, well, number one, how can you tell someone that they're bad for, even if he was killing monkeys, just killing tons of monkeys, how can you tell him that he's bad when you're firebombing people with Molotov cocktails?
I guess their rationale is that if I kill this one man, I'll save a whole bunch of monkeys.
Okay, number 2. If I was this guy, I would say I was quitting science and continue science in secret.
Maybe he is. He's smart. He's smarter than us.
Number 3. If a guy was outside my window with Molotov cocktails, I would shoot him.
Now, the thing that bothers me is not only, I don't want to use the word hippies because hippie is a really broad term, and I don't.
Well, now it's a broad term.
Yeah.
It used to be more specific.
Yeah. So I guess I want to use the phrase dirty hippies.
That's right.
When I say dirty
That's
hippie,
the one.
I don't even really mean people who just happen to not bathe and happen to be very free-loving or happen to be very spiritual.
Yes, those are plain hippies.
When I say dirty hippie, I effectively mean eco-terrorist, pseudoscientists, and all that tomfoolery.
Yeah.
And they do these things, yet they're really not given the label terrorist, despite the fact that they're terrorists.
Well, some of them are given the label terrorist.
Well, here's the thing. There are organizations, a lot of them in the U.S., that pretty much promote all of these terrorist acts straight up and openly.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, they always say, and the courts always hold up, that they're not responsible when these things happen because they didn't directly do it. They just happened to post this guy's address, and they just happened to post Molotov cocktail instructions, and someone just happened to follow these instructions. They didn't take direct action. And very rarely...
But then how come,
How come we go after Hezbollah?
Yeah, well, how come I say all sorts of things, sometimes, like, oh, what if I did this? And you always say, oh, but then you're telling someone to do that. You can't tell someone to do bad things.
See, there's a real fine line, and a couple of these people have gone down before.
All right.
But the sad fact remains that, Hezbollah might not do anything directly, but then someone does something in their name, and then, oh, we can't blame Hezbollah, or the thing is we do blame Hezbollah. But then someone does something in the name of the Animal Liberation Front, and, oh, well, that wasn't us. That wasn't them. That was just some crazy.
Now, see, what bothers me more, right, is, of course, the people doing terrorist acts like bombing stuff are way out of control, and, that's a separate thing. Forget them. It's the people right under them, the people who sort of agree with what those terrorists are fighting for, but aren't evil and doing terrorism. The problem I have is that those hippies that aren't actually terrorists, but agree that, you shouldn't test on monkeys or whatever, those are generally good people with good intentions. Like they want good.
Yeah, well,
they don't want evil, but they're just... They don't understand. They're ignorant, or they're dumb, or
they're being
used. Or they're being used, like someone is just, feeding them false information.
PETA.
Michael Moore.
Even though Michael Moore's not nearly so bad, because at least he's entertaining. There's nothing funny about PETA.
That's true. But, and...
Oh, as an aside, don't forget the head of PETA is diabetic.
Dun, dun, dun.
She uses insulin. Oh, but we tested insulin on animals,
dun,
so...
Dun, dun.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
But the point is that these people, if anyone else had given them the correct information, would be on the good road. They'd all be cool.
Or in the very least, they might be rational about it. Like, I still disagree with the animal testing because I am against science and whatever, but I'm not going to kill people because of my belief.
The thing is someone could be evil. Someone could be rationally or irrationally evil, and it doesn't matter either way because the result is the same.
Well, yeah,
but someone can be rationally or irrationally good, and it's the irrationally good people that it's like, what do I do with you? You won't listen to me because you're not rational, but you're not doing good like you want to. You're doing bad because you don't know any better.
Like
what
a lot
do
of
I
environmentalists.
do with you?
I mean, there are a lot of environmentalists that really care about the environment, and they get active. They work on recycling programs, and they do good things. Then there are a lot of environmentalists who they don't know much about it. So, like, they'll campaign against nuclear power because they think it's dangerous and they think they're doing a good thing when really nuclear power is probably the cleanest form of energy we have.
Yep. It's like, I just don't know what to do with those people.
Now, the worst part is...
It's like, I'd rather have the rational evil guy because at least I can talk to him and he'll talk back in a way that makes sense, even if he's saying the wrong thing.
I mean, if you went up to Emperor Palpatine... after, in the 4th, 5th, 6th movies of Star Wars, and you said, hey, you're an evil fuck, he would say, yep.
And then he'd zap you with his lightning, and you'd say, yeah, that's about what I expected.
Yeah, he might say...
At least you know what you're getting. The irrationally good people, it's like, they hurt so much.
Now, the worst part is, at least I can almost understand what went through these guys' tiny little brains, because, he's testing on monkeys, so we'll kill him. apparently in 2001, the ELF, I don't know what that stands for. It's one of those groups.
It stands for ELF, like Rivendell.
They bombed a facility at the University of Washington for kind of the same reasons. Now, you might think, oh, was it the facility of monkey testing or the facility of crushing cats?
It was
or
like
what?
the planetarium or something, wasn't it?
It was the University of Washington Center for Urban Horticulture. Plants. Nothing but plants. They were studying how to grow plants in cities, basically. But they happened to have done a little bit of genetic engineering on these plants. That is why these dirty hippies bombed it. Yeah, I don't think I need to go in anymore because I don't want to turn this into the episode of Rim bitches about eco-terrorists, dirty hippies, and pseudoscience. But suffice to say, I really don't like eco-terrorists, dirty hippies, pseudoscience, and I was going to say someone's name just to be funny, but never mind.
Well, get ready for fun because we're going to bitch and moan about DRM now.
God damn it.
So Windows, Microsoft Windows, and Windows Media Format have a DRM schema, I guess you would call it, known as plays for sure. Plays, the number 4, and then sure, as opposed to Apple's fair play.
All right, that's somewhat painful because it's not even leet speak. It's just like cutesy AIM speak.
Yeah, so if you buy, an MP3 player that supports plays for sure, or you have Windows Media Player, or, anything like that, you can get plays for sure DRM'd files and play them.
Do those files even exist?
Yes, you can get plays for sure DRM files. I think if you sign up to Napster or a couple other of the, those pay services, I think, they provide you with plays for sure files. Now, the way some of those services work is you basically pay monthly to maintain your account, and then you get so many songs, but you can also buy more songs. I'm not exactly sure of the specific.
Oh, is this one of those when you stop paying, you lose access deals?
Exactly. When you stop paying, you lose your songs.
That's such a bad idea for so many reasons. No matter how you feel about DRM, that's a bad idea.
Yep.
'Cause
Now,
it can't. Okay. Anyway,
some guy came up with this program called Fair Use, the number 4, and then the WM, so Fair Use for Windows Media. It removes the encryption and the DRM from plays for sure files.
you know what? This guy is probably one of the closest men or women to being given the title of a Geek Knight.
Yeah, it's like DVD Jan, and then this guy.
Yeah, I'm real happy with this guy. In fact, I think I'm going to nominate him as the first possible candidate for this year's Geek Night.
Possibly.
Anyway.
So, one guy was writing an article please, Microsoft, don't patch the DRM to fix this. We want to be able to use this program. Please don't patch it.
Wait. Please, Microsoft, don't fix this obviously glaring hole in your failing DRM scheme.
Exactly. Well, as we know, it is technologically impossible to create a DRM scheme that is foolproof because you are essentially giving someone something, but you're giving it to them inside of a safe, and then you're giving them the key. And you just have, some sort of mechanism on the safe where the key only works at certain times, but they have the key and they have the safe. So eventually, they're going to figure out how to open the safe and keep it open.
And even then, you can always figure it out because of the analog hole. I think I need an analog hole.
Yeah, there's a hole.
soundbite.
There's a hole in the back of the safe that they can peek into, and eventually they'll figure out how to suck whatever's in there out that hole.
If anyone feels like it, try to make us an audio that is some sort of booming analog hole thing.
We should just turn on the echo effect and say analog hole.
Analog hole.
Yeah. All right.
I think that's what we'll do. We'll get someone who can sing.
Yep. The point is that maybe if Microsoft doesn't patch this, is it now smart to sign up for the new Napster and get a crap ton of music that is not DRM'd?
You know what? Most of the music I like isn't on Napster anyway.
That's what I'm saying. But for other people who are into the current music,
Yeah, maybe. I guess my opinion is that, early on, I hated the RIA and, bastards, and I'd always fight it and I pirated everything. Then I realized that the vast majority of the music I was pirating had almost nothing to do with any of this. Because most of the music I like is either foreign, old, or obscure.
Yeah, I mean, all the old music that was RAA, I got in the Napster days and the WinMX days, and now there really isn't. You can't.
Yeah, I mean, what? We've got every Led Zeppelin song.
Yeah,
We've got every Rolling Stones song.
No one's making more old music. It's already existing. That's why it's old. I've already got all of it that I want. If I want more, I can go and get I can go buy used CDs, rip them, and get them back to the used CD store, or I can go to my dad's. Take a his turntable and a vinyl record and take them off with the analog hole. But, the new music I don't care about. But some people do. And thus...
Well, I care about new music. I don't care about top 40s new music.
Yeah, that's what I mean by new...
I mean, I gotta
new
say...
pop music in the U.S.
Total aside, but I've fallen in love with the Cat Empire.
All right. I don't care so much for the Cat Empire.
Yeah, well, you don't like ska.
Kinda.
You haven't liked any of the ska I've played, except for that one song from Snatch.
There's a few skas
This
I like.
town is looking like a ghost town. Ooh.
Whatever.
Okay.
So, that's the news.
That's the news.
It's kind of an old news, actually. It's from a while ago, but...
It's not from that long ago.
It's August 25th.
Oh, whatever. What day is today, Scott?
That was 3 days ago.
Yeah, you know what? When was the last time we did a show? Yeah, we pretty much broke this news as soon as we could without doing a Geeknights unscheduled news bulletin, which we've never had cause to do yet.
Yep. Okay.
Rest assured, though, if something crazy ever happens, there's going to be a Geeknights about it right away. Unless we're dead, or we're there. Or we caused it. Things of the day. All right, this one's a bit old, but I don't think a lot of people out there have seen it. And I think it's pretty cool, partly because I did something similar, though on a much lower scale than this dude. Now, I'm sure, well, I hope, because I realize that a lot of our listeners are younger than us, there was this golden age of Nerf when we were kids. Because when I was young, the Nerf bow and arrow debuted. It was a one-of-a-kind toy. It was the first toy like that. And it was amazing. It sold out immediately. There was crazy runs on it like there were for Cabbage Patch Dolls back in the day. And I don't know, Tickle Me Elmos and all that crap. And in fact, it was so bad that on Christmas, my brother got one. But there weren't any more, so I didn't get one. I got this knockoff Robin Hood bow and arrow with terrible foam arrows that barely worked.
See, we had very little Nerf stuff, because at first my parents were apprehensive. They were like, I don't know if we're going to get you Nerf.
What?
But then, eventually we got some. We just didn't get a giant arsenal.
Nerf was...
No one I knew actually had an entire arsenal.
Really?
Most people just had a bow and arrow and a bazooka, and that was it.
Where I grew up, everyone had an arsenal of Nerf. Nerf was such a pivotal part of my childhood. In fact, I would say Nerf, Nintendo/Atari, old Hitchcock, Vincent Price movies, and Dungeons and Dragons pretty much defined my childhood. And I had every good Nerf thing because Nerf started out great and all the original Nerfs were awesome. And then they fell to Super Soaker syndrome because I'd say that some of the original Super Soakers, much like the original Nerf, were far superior to the products that came out later, and they kept discontinuing good products and then releasing crappy, breakable, big pieces of plastic products.
Yeah, Nerf did over time decrease in quality. The early Nerf stuff was light on the plastic and was very functional. Later, there was a lot of flare. I remember that we had a Nerf gun with a LED sight that would kind of work like a laser, but it was.
See,
it was
I don't
an
get
LED.
it. The Nerf bow and arrow was a fantastic toy, and I never understood why they discontinued it and why they made just crap Nerf, and then Nerf disappeared.
Nowadays, they still have Nerf, but barely.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, we would have wars where everyone was armed. I'd have a Nerf bow and arrow on my back, and I'd have two single-shot pistols.
It was all about the 6-shooter of arrows. It had 6 big arrows, and it went do-do-do-do-do-do.
Yes, that was in fact the best Nerf gun.
And that was the M16 of Nerf. It fired 6 arrows, and all you had to do was pull the trigger 6 times.
Oh, no. That one is crap compared to the original incarnation of that, where it was a pump. You basically pulled it back, and then it fired, and then you pushed it forward, and it rotated the Gatling gun mechanism.
Yeah, that's with the Gatling gun.
It didn't have a trigger.
I thought you pumped it, and then you pulled the trigger.
No, you didn't pull the trigger.
Anyway.
I know my Nerf.
Yeah, I didn't have it. So
it was called the Nerf Aerostorm.
That was the one.
It was the best Nerf gun ever made.
Yeah, that's the one.
Now, anyway, I somewhat modified my Arrow Storm because later this thing I think was called a Razorback came out. And it was actually, that was the beginning of the end of Nerf because that was the first bad Nerf product. It was a Gatling gun that, well, it wasn't really a Gatling gun. It was a chain-fed machine gun. How's that? And it had this plastic chain. You loaded it with these orange suction darts, and you cranked it, and it just spat out arrows like bit. The problem was it jammed like a motherfucker. It barely worked. It didn't shoot very hard or very far, and the chain would just break. But the arrows, I noticed, fit inside of the launchers for the Aerostorm because normally you would put a big yellow arrow over the Aerostorm. Instead, I'd shove these tiny little orange arrows into the launcher.
Yeah, so it used to be an arrow with a hole in it, and you would stick a little, a blower of air would blow air into the arrow. Now, you're stuffing that blower with an arrow in it. So,
I also opened the thing and put a bigger spring in it.
Uh-oh.
Now, when I would shoot it at people, because people would come into my basement, and I'd be like, check out my Nerf gun. And they'd always say, that doesn't look like... And then I'd shoot them with it. And as far as I can gather, because I was never personally shot with my own gun, but apparently it hurt a lot. And it was fantastic.
Awesome.
Now, this guy did something times a million to get back on track. He made a bona fide Nerf sniper rifle.
Holy crap.
You have to see this thing. This is a sniper rifle.
It's quite large and quite high quality. Like, usually you see someone make a mod, and it's slightly shoddy. This thing is polished.
It looks really good. The guy doesn't look like a super nerd, and the thing looks like it really, really hurts.
Yeah, and you can tell by the way he loads the arrow bolt into it how quality it is.
Yeah, so check this video out. All right, what do you got?
Okay, so this isn't really the greatest thing of the day, but it's a good example of Linux discrimination, if you will.
You're doing my classic, I don't have a thing of the day, I'll take a news and just kind of jam it into the thing of the day spot.
Sort of. It's not really a news so much. It's yeah. Anyway, at NewYorkTimes.com, the website of the New York Times, they have some videos. And some of these videos are in different sections on the site. Now, these videos play with the Flash player. It's sort of like YouTube, it's Flash video with a slightly different piece of, not the same as YouTube, but it's the same thing. Anyway, if you want to watch a video on the front page, it just shows up and you click play and you watch it. It works fine in every web browser and every operating system as long as you have a new enough version of Flash that supports Flash video, and it doesn't matter if you're using Firefox or IE or whatever. However, for some reason, on Linux, if you decide to go to the video section of the New York Times website, it won't work. It won't actually let you go there. Even if, you have, obviously your computer can play the video because it's playing the video on the front page. But if you go to the video page where there are more videos, it won't let you go there.
Now, it gets better.
It does?
Yeah, because you realize it only looks at the user agent string, and if you change that, it works just fine in Linux.
Yeah.
So there's absolutely no reason for it to not work in Linux, except that all they do is they check to see if you're using Linux. And if you are, they make it break on purpose.
Yeah, well, it's not if you're using Linux. It doesn't say if Linux don't work. It says if you're not using Internet Explorer, if you don't have a new enough Flash, and if you're, not using Netscape 6.2 or higher, then don't let them view this page, show them this error message instead. Now, for me, I just tried it. It just worked. I don't know if they changed something or if my user agent is lying or whatever.
Uh-oh. This is all you with this thing of the day.
No.
If you got some bad reporting and it's not true anymore.
If it's not true anymore, then it's changed very recently. The point is, Rob Lemo, an old Slashdot guy, made a video on his computer of him, falling into this trap on Linux. And you can watch this video, which is the thing of the day, the video itself, where he shows the blatant discrimination by the New York Times against Linux. So it's like, it's bad enough that a lot of people don't make things for Linux, or whatever. But someone to make a website that Linux would normally work just fine on, but they purposefully filter you out. It's like, all I gotta say is that no website anywhere, ever, anymore, at least in the past, it was okay to do this, but not anymore. You should never check to see what, operating system and browser your visitors are using and then decide not to let them see your content. You
could warn them, hey, I suck and the site might not work with you.
Yep. You can also, change the content differently. Like, let's say, if someone has IE, then you want to use this CSS. And if they're using Firefox, you want to use this CSS because it'll make the page look correct because the browsers do CSS differently. That's fine. But you should never block anyone from seeing your site based on the browser, or else you're an ass, because that's not necessary anymore. They might have a browser that will be able to render your content just fine, and you're going to prevent them from seeing it because you're not sure if it will work or because you don't know about their obscure browser. Screw you. Screw you with a hose. So this video demonstrates exactly this principle in action.
And so on to the actual main bit today, something Scott said we'd talk about it. I didn't say anything, but it's something we could do.
Yep, it's easy. And it's informative, and a lot of people seem to not quite grasp this concept that I thought was common knowledge.
Yes. Now, we're going to talk today about Bit Torrent.
Something you should already have known about.
Partly because there are a lot of misconceptions as to what BitTorrent is and who it benefits.
And what it's for and how it works, even though all of this is widely publicized and talked about.
So first, I guess, a bit of history.
Okay, well, back in the day, occasionally, there would be a very popular file that people would want to download.
Like perhaps the latest update to Counter-Strike.
Or a large ISO to a new version of a Linux distribution.
Or a Final Fantasy V translated ROM. That's a personal story. I got boned. Anyway.
Or a new anime fan sub. Now, the solutions, in the past, this would cause a problem, because if a lot of people all wanted the same file at the same time, you needed a gigantic computer to be able to serve it to all of those people. Gigantic. Now, sometimes you could set up some mirrors and people would, disperse themselves among the mirrors however they wanted, but this was bad too because now everyone has to go to all these mirrors, and some people hit all the mirrors because you can't stop them from doing that. So that didn't work out either.
And there was also the issue that it's not like these files would be downloaded like this all the time and you needed this horsepower all the time. It would be a swarm. 1 million people try to download the file over the course of a week, and then 5 people try to download it a month later.
Yeah, so it's like you buy a gigantic computer to serve one file and then nothing. I mean, sure, someone could start a business where they have giant computers that they rent out, but that's not ideal either. There are other people set up systems of queues where you'd wait in line and then get the file.
But that just pissed people off.
Yeah, with things like Hotline or different IRC F-serves.
Yeah, File Planet pretty much only exists because of this problem.
Yeah. They came up with File Planet, which used to be, you just go to File Planet and get video game files. That's how it used to be. Now, if you want to go to File Planet and you don't want to pay money, you have to wait in line to get a file. If you want to pay money, you can just get the file right away because barely anyone pays money.
You know what? Don't go to File Planet.
Never go to File Planet unless there's absolutely nowhere else you can get the file you want, and if you really, really, really need it and can't get it anywhere else.
So what to do?
Yes, what to do about this problem. If only there was some way that, we could all get a file at the same time without having anyone need a gigantic server and a gigantic bandwidth bill.
Now, this is where BitTorrent comes in, because essentially, in a very high level, what it does is if one person wants to download a file, they get it from the server. If 2 people want to download the file, they both get different parts from the server, and then they share those parts.
Mm-hmm.
If 100 people want to get a file from a server, 100 people are all getting different parts and sharing them with each other. So the server is effectively in this high-level, somewhat optimal theoretical situation, only giving the file out once, and then it's being shared by everyone else in a swarm.
Yep.
The more people download, the faster it gets, and the server, no matter how many people are downloading it, sees almost no traffic.
Yeah, let's be a little more specific. Let's say you have a file that's 100 megabytes, right? Now, you need to give it to a whole mess of people. What you do is you break it into smaller bits. Let's say each of them is 1 megabyte and there's 100 of them. I'm just making up numbers. They're probably much smaller. And you need to give this to 1,000 people. Well, first you give one packet, 1 megabyte to one guy. Then you give a different piece to a different guy and a different piece to a different guy. Then they share the bits among themselves. So everyone is out there saying, I need this bit, and then someone gives them that bit.
So I have 1 and 3, Scott has 2 and 4. I give him the ones he needs, and he gives me the ones I need.
And eventually, everyone has all the ones they need, but they don't all get them from the server. They don't all get them from one person. They all get them from different people over time. So, of course, the actual download speed is going to be slower because you're losing time trying to figure out who to get the next bit from. You're getting different bits from different people who transfer the bits at different speeds. It's not going to...
But at the same time now, 1, you're downloading all these different bits at the same time up to the cap of your bandwidth and their bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, there's no waiting.
Yes. That was the biggest problem, was the waiting. I mean, sure, back in the day, downloading a Counter-Strike update, as soon as you actually started downloading, it would be as fast as you and that server could go, and it would go, done, because it would just send you the whole file in a straight shot. But you had to wait so long, and you had to keep clicking on different mirrors until you found a link that worked, and it was just a pain in the ass. With BitTorrent, you click once, and you wait, and you leave. You don't have to sit there doing things. You just get up and leave, you come back, and it will eventually be there. And it's all happy. Okay, let's talk a little bit about where BitTorrent came from.
All right, well, you're the one who looked all that up,
Yep.
since I didn't remember who made BitTorrent. I used to know his name.
It's Bram Cohen, like I thought.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Bram Cohen, and he worked for a company called Mojo Nation that was basically, they were making a system that allowed people to break up files into little bits and encrypt them, and then distribute those encrypted bits over computers running the Mojo Nation software. So it was sort of like the security thing where files got broken into bits and then sent in bits, different chunks that were encrypted for security. So that way no one could spy on your file because they only had a small portion of it, which is useless. And those small portions would all go to different places on the internet and eventually, end up where they were supposed to be. He left that company and made BitTorrent, which does, breaks things into bits to share them instead of, encrypting them all secret-like. And we have BitTorrent today. Now, today, BitTorrent is like an actual company that does things instead of just, it used to be one guy asking for donations and getting a lot of publicity. Now it's a whole company with businessmen and all sorts of fanciness. And that's a good thing, I say. The guy, Bram Cohen's still the CEO, so he invented it pretty much all on his own.
Now, I've noticed a lot of people lately, partly in our forums and partly on the internet, they'll complain about BitTorrent in that they'll say things like, oh, I want to download this anime that was on Anime Suki a month ago, but there's no seeds and it's downloading really slowly. I thought BitTorrent was supposed to make this fast.
Yeah, BitTorrent wasn't supposed to make it fast. It was supposed to make the files available.
And basically, it's faster the more people are downloading it. So if something's not popular anymore, it's going to be, at best, as fast as that server could have served it on his own, and probably broken, because for various reasons, mostly involving copyright law, torrents tend to be very ephemeral. They come and go, and then they're gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something you have to understand about BitTorrent is the seeders and leechers. And back in the day, leecher meant, someone who downloaded a whole bunch and never uploaded anything on a network like Napster or something. And leecher in BitTorrent doesn't mean exactly the same thing, but it's pretty close in its meaning.
Except it's not really a bad thing, because it's just how it works. I mean, a lot of people can't really serve so much.
Yeah, leecher used to be a bad saying. Like, hey, you're downloading a whole bunch of stuff off Napster, but you're not sharing anything you've got, and that wasn't cool. But nowadays, leecher in BitTorrent, when you're downloading something, you're also uploading at the same time. So a leecher isn't a total leecher. There's also a seeder. A seeder is someone who's already downloaded the entire file, but they are continuing to send chunks out to people who need those chunks. And that more seeders that you can find on a torrent, the faster it will go. So leechers help a bit because, they're uploading and downloading. But seeders help a whole lot because you can ask a seeder and he'll have whatever chunk you need. So the more seeders and the more leechers out there, the faster the torrent's going to be. But that's not the only factor. A lot of people still complain, that a torrent isn't working well, even when there are a whole bunch of seeders and leechers. Well, a torrent could work really well when there's only one seeder and leecher. If that seeder is your next door neighbor, because you're going to be able to get all the chunks from him right away, and you won't need to worry about anyone else in the whole world, But, there could be 100 seeders on the other side of the world, which means it's going to be slow because no matter who you're getting the chunks from, they're on the other side of the world.
Or there could be one seeder he's seeding for you, and he's really, really fast, but he only has half the file.
Yep.
And the rest of the file is all coming. Everyone is getting the file from the one
then
dude
if he's only got half the file, he's not a seeder. He's still a leecher.
Well, yeah, but he can also be serving.
Yep. And, and the thing is when someone makes a new BitTorrent, what they do is they take a file that's already completed. They then create a torrent file. And that torrent file is a small, tiny file that anyone could download in like a second from a website. They're so small and insignificant. I think if you're on dial-up, it would take you less than a minute to download a torrent file. And you give that torrent file to your torrent client, and that tells the torrent client how to find the tracker and how to get those chunks of the file and, who's seeding it and who's leeching it and all that stuff.
We could go into more detail, but you probably don't care. If you guys really care, let us know. We'll do another episode.
Yeah. Pretty much what it is the tracker tells you where the other torrenters are for the file, and then, the torrent file tells you what the file looks like. That's why when you start a new BitTorrent, the file appears right away, because the BitTorrent file tells you how big the file is and what its name is and all that good stuff, and then it just fills the file with data as it does its torrent thing.
Now, there are also ways to do, like, trackerless torrents, which basically, it doesn't mean trackerless, actually. It means that everyone is a tracker, basically.
Yep.
And the only thing you need to know is that there are two ways to go about this. The normal way that every BitTorrent client in the world except one uses, and then the Azurius way.
Yeah. The way that every other BitTorrent client in the world uses is the one that is recommended. And
DHT
is developed by the BitTorrent company, so it's the official way. And that's the way you probably want to do it.
Yeah, because if you do it the Azurius way, you can only take advantage of this with other Azurius users.
Yep. Now, a lot of people get confused, and they think a tracker is the same thing as, like, a listing. A listing is not the same thing as a tracker. All the tracker does is it tells you where the other people are torrenting. You never look at a tracker. Only the BitTorrent client talks to the tracker. It's not something you see with your eyeballs, generally. A listing is a place where you get torrent files, and torrent files are listed. And those are, like, websites like, Mini Nova and Torrent Spy and Torrent Box and
Torrent Reactor
and the ill-fated Loki torrents.
I remember Loki torrents.
Yep. Then they got hosed by.
Of course, luckily we have the
MPAA.
Pirates Bay.
Oh, the Pirate Bay.
The Pirates Bay will never die.
The king of torrent tracker, not torrent listings.
Yes.
Not tracker.
The pirate listing king.
Yes. Exactly.
Anyway, now in terms of actually using BitTorrent. I assume all of you out there can do it. You download a BitTorrent client.
Now,
you can get the BitTorrent client if you want. There are also a million other BitTorrent clients.
Yes, I prefer the BitTorrent client. However, you can also get Azurius, which is a big Java thing.
Yep, Azurius is really, really simple to use.
You can get a very popular one is MicroTorrent, which is not actually MicroTorrent. It's like, mu, the little micro Greek letter. And
yes,
then the word torrent.
The U with the long thingy coming off the left side.
Yeah.
It's got, why did the cat fall off the slanted roof?
Why did the cat fall off?
Because it lost its mu.
Dun, dun, dun.
Mu is the coefficient of friction.
Yes, it is.
I made a physics joke.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's a very popular one that
That is a very popular joke.
A very popular BitTorrent client. And
I should be all Groucho Marx.
There are other BitTorrent clients out there, and you can use any one of them, and they'll probably all work just fine.
Now, one last bit about using BitTorrent clients is that, and we're going to do a whole show on this because no one out there seems to understand it, unless, they're a technologist. And yet it's something that you all should really know about because almost everyone accesses the internet through a NAT now, a router that basically gives you different IP addresses. If you don't know what NAT means, don't worry about it, but you probably have it anyway. The thing is, there's something called port forwarding. And to not go into any technical detail, even though I will someday, I will go into excruciatingly boring technical detail if you want. But you need to forward ports, TCP ports, on your router to whatever computer or computers you want to use BitTorrent with. And different BitTorrent clients can use different numbers of ports. If you're using the normal BitTorrent client and you have only one computer that wants to download torrents, forward ports 6881 through 6999 to the computer that is running BitTorrent, assuming that computer is somewhat secure. BitTorrent will run just fine if you don't use any of this port forwarding, but it'll be a lot faster and better if you do. If you use Azurius, the easiest way to know if you've got this set up or not is if you've ever seen a green smiley face, you're okay. If you've only ever seen yellow, you probably don't have port forwarding set up.
Another thing to note is that if you have universal plug and play, UPnP, enabled on your router and your OS supports it, then most BitTorrent clients, especially the default one, take advantage of that and will be able to get you the green smiley faces by telling the router to open the ports. However, UPnP is not the most secure thing in the world, so turn it on with much hesitation.
Yes.
Usually UPnP will cause you problems if someone gets access to your network and then opens up ports to the outside world and then comes in through those ports. That's what you got to worry about.
Yep, and of course, one nice advantage of Azurius, if you don't want to really bother with this so much, is that you can tell it, use this one port for all that crap, and then just open that one port.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, that is probably how the BitTorrent client should be, but I guess because the BitTorrent client is written by someone who's technical, and because this solution works just fine for technical people, there was no reason to make a single-port solution.
Yeah.
I'm an advocate of single-port solutions in most applications, as an IT major.
I think it's just the way the software is written. It's faster and more efficient this way.
Yeah, I mean, you can make arguments both ways. He chose to do it this way. I'm not going to argue with him.
I think it's mostly because you don't know about coding.
But at the same time,
I'd have to look at the software.
You don't know about networking so much.
I know about network coding. I know how to code network applications.
I took classes on coding network applications.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that is all you need to know about BitTorrent unless you want to know more.
Yeah, if you don't know how to specifically use BitTorrent, I mean, it's so dead simple. You can find it on the internet at the BitTorrent website.
And if you guys really want to hear a more technical discussion, like specifically, why these ports need to be open, or how a tracker works, or what protocols are used, or how does it know that the pieces you're getting from other people aren't broken, we could do a show about that. But we found in the past that the shows we did that were overly technical did not go over so well.
Yeah, people seem to go like, you talked over my head. And I'm like, well, it's Tech Day. I figure people who listen on Tech Day want to talk about, tech stuff.
I think the people who listen on Tech Day want to learn about tech stuff.
Yeah. They got to understand the over-the-head talk. Yeah.
All right.
BitTorrent is awesome. You should use it. But it does not replace Napster. It is not a Napster replacement. It is not a Kazaa replacement. It serves a different purpose and solves a different problem, and it is awesome.
In fact, it solves a problem that many of you young kids probably never saw, because it was a problem that came and went on the internet.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people don't understand it, because they never experienced the problem.
Plus, they never experienced the golden age of peer-to-peer.
That is true.
I mean, we lived through the dawn, birth, rise, renaissance, death, renaissance, death, renaissance, and death of Napster.
That is correct.
There was a time when I would go onto my computer, start Napster, and every song in the world that I could ever dream of was available immediately at insane speed, and as far as the world was concerned, it wasn't illegal. The recording industry barely even knew this existed.
Yep.
It was just this crazy thing. No one was getting sued. No one even thought of the possibility that you might be sued. Most people just assumed it was legal if they even knew anything about copyright law.
It was good times.
It was crazy times.
Yeah. Oh, and one more thing. A lot of people I know complain about BitTorrent, again, thinking it's Napster. Because they say, I can't get individual songs, I can only get albums. Well, it's like, first of all, why don't you want the album instead of the original song? If you're going to steal it, why not steal the whole thing? Steal as much as you can.
Yeah, the old pack rat wears mentality. If I can download it, god damn it, it's worth archiving on my RAID.
Yeah. And if you just want one song, well, if BitTorrent's the easiest way to get it, download the whole album and delete everything but the one song.
Yeah, or if you just want the one song, you could use the iTunes store for $1.
And, of course, deal with DRMs and whatnot.
Yeah, but then you hack the DRM to the analog
You
hold.
can't hack the iTunes DRM right now.
Yeah, you can. Analog hold, bitches.
Well, the way to do it now is to burn a CD and then rip it off the CD.
Yeah, the pseudo-analog hold.
Which costs one CD and then $1. But anyway, no, but the reason that is because putting incredibly small files on BitTorrent is kind of pointless.
Unless it's an incredibly popular file.
I mean, yeah, if you have a 3 megabyte MP3, you can, nowadays that everyone has broadband, because realistically, BitTorrent doesn't work if you don't have broadband. With dial-up, it's basically useless.
You know what? If you have dial-up, one, you're probably not listening to Geeknights. Though I know we have a few listeners who use dial-up.
Seriously, I can't expect anyone to even download MP3s at all on dial-up.
Granted, I downloaded MP3s over dial-up.
That's like someone driving on the highway where the speed limit is 65, but their car can't get over 40. It's like, you shouldn't be on this highway. Get off. You're being dangerous.
I remember when downloading and successfully getting a 3 megabyte MP3 was this crazy deal, and then you would break it up onto a floppy disk and give it to your friend.
I downloaded OpenOffice over 56K and burned 3 or 4 CDs or something.
See, I lived in the promised land. I had a cable modem pretty much.
I don't remember. Maybe it was just one CD. It was big. It's hundreds of megabytes.
I had a cable modem pretty much forever.
Yeah. But the point is, if you have broadband, sending a 3 megabyte MP3 to like a whole mess of people takes like 5 seconds each. So you don't really need BitTorrent for that. You could just have a FTP server and it wouldn't have a problem doing it, even if 1,000 people showed up. The problem is if you want to have a 500 megabyte or 2 gigabyte game demo that you have to distribute to people, then it takes so long to do it that BitTorrent actually makes things go faster and not slower. So that is why people only distribute entire albums and movies and TV shows on BitTorrent and not individual songs, because it's pointless.
Well, hopefully we've dispelled some of the myths, rumors, and misunderstandings about BitTorrent. As always, if you want to argue with us or anything, you can hit the forums.
Also one note, I keep forgetting to say this. If you apply for membership to the forum and you do not receive an email that says, "Congratulations, you are a member of the forum," come back to the forum and try to sign in with the name and password you chose. There is 100% chance that you were approved and you just didn't get the email because you use Hotmail or something stupid like that, and the spam filter is overly aggressive.
Not only have we never denied entry to anyone, but we've only ever banned one person, and good God was that kid annoying.
Yes, and if you would like to apply for membership to the forum, if you wait maybe, I don't know, there's a 100% guarantee that within 12 hours you are going to get approved. If anything, by the next episode of Geeknights, if there is an episode of Geeknights that was not pre-recorded, and you hear it, and you applied for the forums before that episode airs, you are now a member of the forums. Congratulations.
And that was Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcasts, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geeknights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geeknights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's actually recorded at night.
These cat's eyes for 100 years, that's just stupid. Or a guy who's like, I'm going to boil a monkey just to see what happens. That's not cool. I mean, what's the point? Other than, I'm sure Penn would have a lot to say about that, and I'm sure he would laugh hysterically. I don't think that it is worth either the monkey's pain or the possible entertainment Penn would get.
Yeah, like, I'll agree that, okay, if I have a choice between saving a person and saving a monkey, I'm probably going to say it's time for the monkey to go. But if you're just going to kill a monkey for no reason, I'm going to say, what the hell? Don't kill that monkey for no reason. We might be able to use that monkey's life to save a human life.
Or possibly, in the future, another monkey's life. I mean, there are cats that get insulin shots because they have diabetes.
Wow.
Yeah, so animal testing also helps animals, to all you dirty hippies out there.
Do the cats hurt when they pee?
I take it out of my wife and dog.
How's the cat take it out of the dog? That's interesting.
All right. You know what? I've noticed we
I'm
tend
a cat with diabetes.
Wow, we're losing it today.
Okay,
It's over.
It's a cat with diabetes.
It's diabetes. I tell you now out there seriously that we don't find diabetes funny.
Yeah, my grandpa had diabetes.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. But a cat with diabetes is hilarious.
Anyway, the thing is, I trust the scientific community and the people who do this research because I know people personally who do, and I just think, and it really takes effort to not say anything. And another one of those issues is eco-terrorism. Now, not the fact that it exists or when people talk about it, but when it affects the world or when it happens. And recently, the world has lost a great scientist due to eco-terrorism.
What, did they kill him?
Well, basically, Dario Renac, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he is a well-respected neuroscientist from UCLA. And from what I read on Slashdot and articles about him, I don't remember exactly what he did, and I don't feel like doing any fact-checking tonight. But I read that he has done all sorts of fantastic things, and he has put forth a lot of somewhat significant advancements in the various fields surrounding neuroscience.
Ooh, neuroscience.
Yeah, I can't go into more detail than that because I don't know.
I don't know anything about neuroscience either.
See, I looked it up at work, but then I got distracted by, work, and then I never bothered to finish looking it up.
Awesome.
But anyway, he and his family had been harassed for much of his career by eco-terrorists and...
Why would they be harassing a neuroscientist?
Well, because he's a neuroscientist who, among other things, occasionally experimented on monkeys.
Well, you need to. You gonna test on human brains?
See, I'm not gonna worry about the issues of, why eco-terrorists do what they do or why people care, other than the fact that to all the people out there who are staunchly against animal testing in any form, I'll note that animal testing has come a long way, and it's really not as bad picture of the shelf you're making. It shows the cross brace.
I didn't really read the directions so well.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Outstanding.
That's that.
Good game, Scott. But to not bore you with all the details of our mostly unexciting weekends, other than the fact that we just got a new board game that we've been playing a lot, and it's a lot of fun, but we're not sure if we like it or not yet.
Well, I think I like it in terms of it's fun to play. The question is, how long will it be fun to play and the strategy? But that's for a Tuesday.
It is. Though I will note that I just creamed. In fact, between me, Alex, and Scott only got 3 points in the entire game.
Well, I won the first time we played. The second time we played, I had a good showing. The latest time we played, I got hosed.
See, in the 3 times we played,
hosed.
I was in dead last by a lot. I was in the middle of the road, pretty much right in the middle, and then I won by a lot.
So my performance was inversely proportional to yours.
Yeah, pretty much. And then Alex just did really well, generally.
Yeah, I think so. All right.
Anyway, in the news, this is a little bit old, but it's something that really bothered me. I mean, everyone who knows me in the real world, or in meat space, knows that there are certain issues that even if I don't say anything, or if I just let it go by, there's that glimmer of, if I felt like it, there would be a torrent of me talking about the topic ad nauseum.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a bit of frustration. Usually these things are pseudoscientific things.
We just can't stop yelling about those.
I mean, someone says the word chiropractic.
It's Monday, August 28th, and this is Geeknights. Tonight we talk about the miraculous Bit Torrent. Let's do this.
Well, independently of one another, all 3 of us went out of town last weekend.
Yep.
I went to Albany to help our friends Kate and Adam move into their new townhouse.
I would have done that if I didn't go home to my parents' house.
Yep, and Alex also went out to his parents' house.
Holy crap.
It was a lot of heavy lifting on my part, and it took until about 2 in the morning.
I did a lot of heavy lifting at like IKEA, but I forgot an important piece to my bookshelf because
Oh, you mean the piece that the instructions say you have to buy? The piece that is pictured in everything that you purchased? The piece that was obviously necessary?
Yeah, well, I didn't know how to shop at IKEA, so what do you want from me?
Could have asked someone.
I did. They weren't very helpful.
What did you ask them?
I asked them where little metal bits were that held the shelves on. I didn't realize.
And he answered, didn't he? He told you where to buy the wall mounts.
Yeah, no.
You didn't ask him where the cross braces were.
I didn't know I needed a cross brace.
Nor did you ask him if you had everything you needed.
No.
So the blame falls squarely on Scott Lloyd Rubin.
Also making IKEA not the easiest place to shop at.
I thought it was perfectly easy. You look in the instructions, and it says, pretty much, if you bake this kind of shelf, you need a cross brace. And then in the pictures, groups like PETA really want to portray it as.
And I say, no matter how bad it is, one person greater than animal.
See, I disagree. I've met a lot of people where I would put a puppy's life ahead of them.
No.
They were pretty bad people or pretty annoying people.
You would have to, maybe.
All right. Here's a question for you. Who would you rather have living in our house right now? A puppy that was quiet and well-behaved, that I had trained, didn't even poop in the house, did everything outside, or he who shall not be named, he who lived with Pete?
It would be more interesting to have he who shall not be named, because unlike some other people who would allow their lives to be ruined by he who shall not be named, I would ruin the life of he who shall not be named.
I don't think you could.
And achieve great entertainment from it.
That's like saying, I'm going to hurt that masochist. I'm going to hurt him real bad.
That's right. That's what I'm going to do.
All right, how about a nice, well-behaved, clean puppy? Or an amalgam of Stinky Rob's body, Dwayne's brain pre-giving up marijuana, and Hitler's mustache?
Hey, Hitler's mustache. Interesting. That would definitely... It would be more interesting.
Well, anyway, in regards to this
the
news,
puppy would be nothing.
I mean, I am against, there is some gratuitous animal research out there. Luckily, that has diminished over the years. In a lot of places, like cosmetics, a lot of cosmetics aren't tested anymore because they're using really well-known chemicals that have been tested in the past, and there's really no reason to test these things further. So if someone was still testing, like, I'm going to keep injecting this deodorant into this